Hi, I'm Nick Dawkes.
And I'm Toby Lee.
And we're here today just to have a chat, an informal chat, I guess. We're both photographers. And we work a lot within the branding sector, I guess. We work with people and making people look better and helping them get themselves out there in the world. So we just want to have a little chat about that and hopefully give you something that you can take away, some tips from our side of the camera and how we see things, and hopefully improve what you do better behind the camera as well. That'd be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think what's nice as well is we have quite similar backgrounds in the, going from performing and acting to working on photographing actors.
Yeah.
And how specific a casting photo is to now working with, business individuals and professionals in that world and how actually representing them with the eye of what, going from what parts people complain to actually who's your audience and how can we make sure you're seen by them.
Yeah, because I think there's a big void. Actors are so used to promoting themselves and their photo is everything and putting themselves up there in a photograph, that it kind of gets lost a little bit in the void when it comes to promoting themselves as any other industry or anything, even if it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
People kind of go, well, I've got this photo that was taken of me on holiday last year. It's like, I love it. So those sentences are great. It kind of doesn't quite sell you in your best light.
That's it. The typical ones are always holiday snaps, wedding photos, always get used on LinkedIn. Anything at parties or nights out. But really, it's when people are feeling relaxed, I guess, isn't it? Like, that's when they feel most themselves.
And also, I think the common theme a lot of the time is you might have had a drink. You're like, I felt happy and smiling and relaxed in front of the camera because of that. But there is, I think, unfortunately, where a lot of people fall down from the photography side is that if you're shooting corporate something, I'm about photographers out there, but there are a lot of people that go in and they're very good technically, but they can't communicate what they want from a client.
Yeah.
So therefore they're not getting the best out of the client. They're getting a really good photo.
Yeah.
It's well lit. It looks lovely.
Yeah.
But actually the client is kind of got 6 chins and they're looking terrified. And I think where we've come from that background of being in front of the camera as actors, then going to the other side where we're shooting actors and we're so used to having to direct them quite heavily and they're used to being direct.
Yeah.
They're taking that into the corporate world and business world and even just any company branding. There's a certain magical thing people feel sometimes of like, wow, oh my goodness, I've never been shot like this where someone will tell me what to do and tell me this looks good or give me something to think about whilst I'm being photographed.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's experiences tend to be from situations where there's been like restriction, and so they kind of, when they look at those photos, they only remember how they felt at the time. So like school photos, or if there's like real traditional old school ways of photographers working and in studios, or the more real corporate vibe. And I think what's nice maybe about what we offer is that experience of kind of like you say, being really comforting with people and having been on the other side of the camera. We know that how you feel is going to reflect so much on how you come across in the photo, but also how you view it yourself, how you look at yourself and don't go picking all the flaws straight away.
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier about, the simple thing of when you're shooting, in a boardroom somewhere and you're shooting all these people coming in and out all day, just like playing some music in the background on a laptop. Yeah, no one else can hear it in the office, but they walk into that room and suddenly there's a feeling of like, oh, this feels quite relaxing. So this doesn't feel stale. It doesn't feel like the school photo that I hated when I had to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's little things like that that put people at ease, and also understanding. You were talking earlier about understanding people's flaws and communicating that with them. Not flaws, but understanding the things that people don't like about themselves.
Yeah.
Which everybody has that one thing. They go, well, my left ear's bigger than my right. Absolutely. My nose goes to the left, and actually kind of, almost giving someone a virtual hug of being like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that you don't like that, that's fine. But actually no one else sees that. That's something that you have in your head.
Yeah.
And we're here to not emphasize that, but to work with you. The fact you've told me you don't like your nose is good, because I can do things to like that and make it not look
Yeah.
Then to the left if you don't like that.
Absolutely. Like there's a common list of things that will come up when somebody comes into the studio with me, and it's usually, you know, my chins. Can you do something about my chins? Like people like, get so hooked up. I'd say women predominantly as well. Like, you know, make sure you don't get my chins. And some of these people will be like of great physique and build, you know, like it's like, but it's like you say, as soon as we get something in our head, it's so easy to hold on to. The other thing is like, you know, I hate my smile. Do I have to smile? And it's kind of like, we don't have to ask for permission to smile. But at the end of the day, if we're putting photos on LinkedIn, we want to smile, even if we're a female director. You know, a smiling female director is going to get more engagement.
I'd let them know.
Than a serious one, exactly. You know, it's obviously like, you know, whatever your professional industry is, it's trying to make sure we portray you as approachable and relatable and friendly as possible.
Yeah. And I think that smile, yeah, when people don't like their teeth, for example, you can still smile without showing your teeth, but it's about feeling relaxed and, you know, I know people a lot with, you know, think like this, think like that, you know, giving them something they can latch onto mentally.
Yeah.
So when that photo is taken, that snap goes, that they're thinking of something lovely. They're not thinking, God, don't smile, don't smile.
Yeah.
They go, you love lasagna. I think of lasagna. And they go, lasagna. And it's just a moment captured. And that is such a warm welcome.
Yeah.
Because when other people look at that photo, they think, I'm really enjoying something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
that's lasagna.
No, absolutely. And it's just trying to get them out of their head a little bit, isn't it? I think what's also quite nice is reviewing the photos also gives you that opportunity to go, what was our brief here? What was the objective? So if it was like, you know, to make sure we represent you as being really friendly in the profession that you do, suddenly that's kind of actually an external objective, because the objective is about the audience, about people who are going to view the photos, not about you. So suddenly any sort of self-consciousness we have of viewing the photos, we can instantly flip on its head that if the client's there looking at the photos going, oh, you know, my smile or whatever, I don't really like that. Well, think, what's your audience going to think? Are they going to prefer that smiley photo or that serious one where you didn't want to smile? You know, and suddenly the argument is one there of, okay, yeah, I'll smile, it's fine. You know, but it's important, isn't it? You know, our first impression is...
Well, exactly. And I think, I don't know if you find this, but I think people want to come across as very professional. But they translate that sometimes into looking quite sad.
Yeah.
Because you think, I'm going to be professional, therefore I'm going to look at the camera very seriously. And then the idea of that smile is like, well, no, that's not professional.
Yeah.
Professional. And I think we've moved on, 2025, time of recording, this has moved on to a point where actually the boundaries have moved slightly when it comes to branding and photography, and, you know, social media has played such a big part in what is your image.
Yeah.
But actually, it's not a formal photo anymore. You know, you don't want to see someone in a three-piece suit with a tie and, you know, on a bright white background. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something else.
Yes.
As long as it's genuine and it looks good and it communicates a message and a feeling.
Yeah. Well, we need that human connection, don't we? Like, we kind of want to learn something about you before I'm going to exchange money for your services, exactly. You know, so we've got to build that trust, and I think that's why people do like using holiday photos and their wedding photos, because they feel they're sharing a bit of their personality or something that's true about them that they maybe wouldn't be with, say, a more traditional headshot.
Absolutely,
so that's where it's so important, like our side of things, to make sure we're really capturing that. If it's a plain white background professional LinkedIn style headshot, you know, we can still pack that with as much personality as we need to. It's just trying to help the clients get that out, isn't it?
Do you find now that from a branding point of view, have you found there's more people getting a diverse portfolio of photos? So it's not just that standard type cropped headshot, but people are wanting more and more wide range, I guess.
I think people need more content to share. So I'd say definitely, because even if your main LinkedIn profile photo is still a white background headshot, for example, it's clean, it's professional, it does its purpose. when they're posting content and need something to support their text post, they need more photos to share. And also it's another opportunity to be sharing more stuff about you, isn't it? You know, here's another photo of me that's, you know, still maybe in a studio environment or, you know, just with a different background or in a setting or whatever, but it's giving more information about you, maybe slightly away from your sort of profession or however it might be. And it's just utilizing those opportunities to just give as much info.
Because there's also, I think there's such scope for photography, for example, if you do presentations, if you go to do lots of conferences,
Yeah.
you know, you walk on stage and you've got an enormous big photo of you showing up behind you. You know, sometimes it's that slightly more relaxed photo where you won't looking straight at the camera, you're looking slightly off the camera.
Yeah.
Those kind of shots, I think, work really well in that respect.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because it gives a better, like you say, better feel of you, a bit more personality. It's not that kind of hard staring at the camera shot. It just feels a bit more relaxed, and that's.
I suppose it's like working with actors. You know, they need a range of photos to obviously reflect the different parts they're going to play, and it's exactly the same for a personal brand, because you're not just playing that one part in your job. There are so many other parts to it. Say, for example, a recent HR client, we had the conversation. Actually, it's the humanization, the communication is actually the most important part of their role. So they have to still represent themselves as being professional, and under these circumstances, you know, we're going to deal with things in such a professional manner, because obviously they have to. That's their job fundamentally. But actually, the way they work with people is the message we need to get across, because that's also such a huge side to it. I think the other element as well of having like varied imagery and content as well is, as an audience, we're so used to consuming a range of images now that in order to build that association, we need so many touch points, and they can't just be the same photo all the time being shared. You know, we really need to find ways to kind of, if we keep sharing varied content, we recognize that face more in different circumstances, the more likely we're going to build that trust and that connection faster, aren't we?
And they have photos for all of their different sides of who they are as a person. You know, if you're, I don't know, if you came to me as a physiotherapist with an independent business, you'd want something that looked like you run your physiotherapist business and it had that. But actually, you just want some shots also. You just be relaxed to put against posts that you're doing about whatever it is. I think that's probably that tailored approach as well that we have as businesses of people coming in and you going, well, let's look at you as it's not an out of the box recipe.
Yeah.
It's about finding stuff that can be tailored to whatever you are. And go, we need a bit of this and a bit of that, and kind of picking off the menu almost.
Yeah, because people might see our portfolios and go, I want something like that. And it might be applicable to you, but also we can do something different. Like, you know what I mean? Like we can take bits of that, but also for you, we can always go in this direction as well. Like, how exciting would that be? And
have you found, on that note, that actually you have clients that come to you with one idea and they say, I really want a photo like this, and you go, okay, does it quite fit who you are or who I would expect that to be? You know, it's too serious or it's too this or whatever it is, and you kind of go, well, maybe we need a bit more of this instead. And
I definitely have had that. And it's also listening to what they think their needs are and then trying to understand how that relates to where they're going, if that makes sense. Because sometimes what they come in saying, I really want this kind of photo, what they describe to you, maybe the style is wrong, but the purpose or the intention of what they're trying to achieve is right. So it's just trying to reframe it and go, I think this is really what you mean. And when you present it to them, they go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's exactly what's happening. It's nothing like the reference images or you know. I find certainly with businesses, when I go in and do like their branding and things, sometimes what they ask for isn't quite what they really want. It just takes a bit of digging with a few more questions.
And they just want a bit of hand holding a lot of the time. And someone kind of going, well, this is great, but maybe we could take it here, and then all the lights go deep, you know, that's it. Talk me, man. I mean, I guess to wrap up, what would be your tips for someone, whether it be an individual or a business, who wanted to get some branding photos, so new headshots, new branding? What would be your main things to think about if I was a customer client coming to you going, hi Toby, just sending a little inquiry, looking for a shoot for some new headshots, want some LinkedIn stuff, want some stuff for socials. What's the kind of things you think I should be thinking about going forward on that front? Like a little bit of a hit list.
Yeah, so I guess it depends what the starting point is, because everyone's is different. So if you're already kind of building a bit of personal brand, you might be able to view what posts have done well, what photos of you might have shared in the past that have had a certain amount of engagement or people know you for, and then we can try and capture that in a different essence, in a different way. There might be people that haven't ever shared a photo of themselves online, and this is a real big deal for them. And so there's a real kind of balance there. So for that, I'd say start looking at kind of people who influence you. What is it about what they're sharing that you like and engage with and feel connection with? And then we can start exploring how we find that for you, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of self-analysis of like, what is it I want to share about me? And yeah, exactly. Yeah. What professional point I want to share. So, for example, for me and my personal brand, you know, I'd say as personal branding characters, we're very different because I feel I'm friendly and warmth in one way, you're friendly and warmth in a different way, and how we portray that is quite important, because if you met us both in a room, we're different people. That's it.
I hope so, yeah.
You know, so it's trying to find that differentiation. What is it that makes you you? And then we sing it from the hilltops.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. How about you? What would you?
Well, I think for me, people get caught up a lot with clothing, makeup, hair, and I think they start to worry about the thing, and they can be really important. But that's something we can discuss, and we can, go through on the day of your shoot or whatever it is. We could talk about different outfits, not so much if we're going into a business, but if you're coming to the studio, we can go through to different outfits, fine. But it's more about, again, reflecting back to what's in here.
Yeah.
Because if you're so worried about this, and then the camera comes on you, and you're like, "What am I doing? I don't know."
Yeah.
I think people come at it from the wrong angle sometimes, rather than thinking about where are these photos going, what's the image I want to portray, who do I want to show the world that.
Yeah,
I think that's a big thing. I think also the best photos I've ever taken are the ones they're the outtakes in between.
Yeah,
they're the moments in between. They were like someone gave a big laugh and then they relaxed.
Yeah.
Or, they looked away and they looked back to the camera, and it was just a moment caught. And you can't fake those moments.
No.
So I guess my big tip would be that when people come in, they need to, as hard as it is, you have to trick your brain to go, this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
None of this matters.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun with it. I trust Toby, I trust Nick, whoever it is. I'm just going to do what they tell me to, take the direction.
Yeah.
And then hopefully something good will come out of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely.
I guess that's our job, isn't it?
Yeah. But I remember an incident years ago. I had a corporate job like this shot, and the woman came in, we were shooting, and she was very flustered, and she got really angry with me because no one had told her there was headshots that day. So she'd gone across the road to some designer shop, spent £200 on the top, and she was really, really angry. And I remember she was so tight and tense.
Yeah.
And I joked with her. I just joked to say, right, let's just forget about everything that's been going on this morning. It's all good. Or you think fluffy kittens and puppies. And she started crying because her cat just died. Literally the day before. So all of the anger and the fluster and everything was actually coming from the fact that she was just really sad and grieving. Glad that she burst into tears. But it was that thing of like she was carrying all this external stress into that room.
Yeah.
Added with more stress that morning. There was no way I could have got a good photo of her in anywhere because she was just carrying this anger. And there wasn't any way, otherwise I was story really. There's no way I could have rectified that. It's not bringing a cat back. But she was so caught up with external things rather than just being present in the room. Yeah. Okay, let's get some nice shots and see what happens. And I think that happens a lot. People are so busy with their lives and having to deal with emails and things. When it comes to the photos, they're too busy thinking about what's happening afterwards and not just being present in the room.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, you're making investment, and it's trying to give yourself the best chance of loving the photos you get, isn't it? And for a lot of people, a headshot update is probably like the first time in 5. Some cases I had 10 years.
I've had about 20.
Yeah, I'm not going to hurt my shoulder for 10 years. Can you make it look as young as I did then? And it's kind of going, look, it falls down the priority list. I get it. It's like it's not on the top of the to-do list and the day-to-day work things, but actually the amount of times clients have come out having viewed their gallery and gone, I can't believe I've not done this sooner. Do you know what I mean? Or started using their photos and gone, this is so useful. I have so much to share now and content, and feel confident about putting myself out there more because I've got photos that represent me. So, yeah.
We're also on that now. I think that people leave it so long because they're scared that they've aged and they look older and they're wrong they were. But actually, with age comes wisdom. So when you see someone with a few lines and wrinkles, you think, well, they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So in a business situation, that becomes wisdom and that becomes trust. And
absolutely.
They can get the job done. Whereas the photo they're using from 20 years ago, you think, what is that young upstart? No, so sometimes I think that bit of knowledge and age can work, and don't be afraid to embrace your face and love the lines.
Yeah, absolutely. It's truthful, it's authentic.
Yes, yeah. Crinkle it up. So that's great. Thank you, Toby.
Thanks very much. It's been good fun.
Toby's got an amazing podcast called
Brand You, the ultimate guide to personal branding. So yeah,
So check out the Brand You podcast, because there's some really cool info on there. And you and your co-host are absolutely awesome.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, man. Well, thanks for having me.
Until next time. I'm gonna make my thing every time. Little fist bump in the air.
I really enjoyed that. Oh, that's cool.